Shall we begin?
Holy Toledo! Bullseye! The season can't end like that!
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Hold on to your butt.
Thank you. Get over it! Ooh. No! No! Sack!
9 to noon.
Good stuff. Oh, good.
Hardcore football.
Good morning. So even when we rest, Quasey was cooking, as the kids might say. The 49ers have thrown 8 times and run 3 on this possession. Make it 4. Toss right, Jordan Mason. He has a seam inside the 5. Touchdown, San Francisco. And Jordan Mason was untouched. A 10-yard touchdown run for Jordan Mason. He has 2 this year. And now it's 2013 Minnesota. Running back punch. 1-2. 1 and 1A. The Hall and Oates of running back, showtime and slug you time.
First and goal, 4-yard line. Mason alone back. Purdy going to give him a handoff off the left side. Touchdown! San Francisco!
J.P. Mason off tackle to the 49ers sideline and 2 outstanding blocks that if you don't knock Mason Madness off his track, he's walking it.
Mason Madness.
Mason Madness.
Says the vast and ever-expanding San Francisco 49ers radio network. The vast and ever-expanding radio network that gave us Ayuk. Ayuk is on fire. We don't need no Debo. Let's trade him to Washington. Burn. So, good morning. It's Paul Allen Nordo by my side, 9 to noon, FM 100.3, KFAN. Courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. We'll marathon out of the gate. stevesappliances.com. Wonderful people. Stop by if you need appliances, stevesappliances.com. Jordan Mason's the name, and mashing on you is the game. For those of you not super familiar with Jordan Mason, he's a running back who played the first part of his career with the San Francisco 49ers. He's 5'11", 225 pounds. So think Alexander Madison, but shiftier.
Ooh.
And 5 pounds heavier. So now the running back bit, the bet, it's settled for 2025. Showtime into slug you time or Mason Madness. And the Minnesota Vikings gave a 6th round pick in 2026 and some, rather insignificant pick swap this year for the Saturday portion of the equation. We have cash. The 49ers don't. So the 2 years, 7 guaranteed, might be 12 if Mason Madness blows up. If he blows up, yeah, he can get $12 million. And quite honestly, the way things are going lately with free agency, that's walking around money for the Wilfs. Quasey's nickname should be Cash, because it sure is nice to be rolling in at this time of the year. And
does he just walk around the facility handing out $100 bills to everyone he passes by?
We have them.
Oh, hey, individual in marketing. Oh, yeah. VEN guy or gal. Here's a couple hundred. Stuff your pockets. It's free agency season.
The days of worrying about the proper allocation of change to have for the vending machine, those are in the rearview mirror.
There we go, Paul!
We have money. San Francisco doesn't. I like saying that. We have cash. The Niners don't. They go mining for gold. They can't even find any. But now Jordan Mason, 5.2 yards per carry during his career. Again, 5'11", 225. And he's a bruiser. Jordan Mason's a bruiser. His pass protection is highly, highly rated. by many around the National Football League.
Okay.
So that plays into the mix, taking reps off Aaron Jones. That plays into the mix. How does it play into the 2024-2025 draft and pick 24? Well, we have plenty of time this week to analyze that because the drafting of a running back at 24 off what Nordo and I put together on Friday, where with the right to change the opinion multiple times, we looked at free agency and, kind of laid out what we thought the old two deep would look like, what we thought the starters would look like heading into the first game of the season. That Chargers game in Brazil.
Hardcore football.
Just kidding. But nevertheless.
Well, the draft was the preferred route, right? As we were talking through it with Aaron Jones re-upped, and then you have Ty Chandler. That the draft in one way or another, I think I even put it out, I felt like 24 or 97. One of those spots would be a runner.
Right.
And maybe similarly to where into free agency we're putting lists together about best O-lineman on the board. You end up with Will Fries, but Ben Johnson's like, no, I don't care about the free agent list. I'm just going to go get a guy.
Yeah.
And in this particular case with Jordan Mason, the Vikings did exactly the same. We talked about him being a bruiser into that Niners game. Watch out for Jordan Mason. Underrated. He's going to get the lion's share with McCaffrey in Germany trying to figure out his health situation.
You think we didn't?
And we left talking about how good Jordan Mason was. I think he was 5 a clip, 20 and 100 yards. Got that touchdown from the highlight I played. I mean, good player on kind of a pretty nice deal. So nice work by Kwesi. Yeah,
here, this is as we fade the music and fire up 9 to noon during the Steve's Appliances Marathon to begin 9 to noon. It's astonished would be too strong, but it's like, okay, cool. We made a trade. We gave up a 6th in 2026. Well, we're happy for that. The 49ers with their comp picks in 2026. They're just so it's a retool. It's not a rebuild. It's a reshape for the 49ers. But we have cash and they don't. The thing that was quite impressive and rather amazing to me is how does one identify a team that has an alpha running back in Christian McCaffrey? Now, Christian McCaffrey, he may be more apt to be traveling the Autobahn to heal whatever is ailing him at that time, as opposed to Pacific Coast Highway going from his house to Santa Clara so he can play a football game. Now, that's fact. But see, with that, Mason is a fantastic fill-in running back. He's a fantastic McCaffrey's gone too. We got Mason. How about you? We got more. Mason as a backup or filling in for Christian McCaffrey, as the kids would say, that was a thing.
Yeah.
How can one possibly know Jordan Mason is available? Well, that's amazing. It truly is. How much phone work do you have to do while you got one baby on one knee and another baby on the other knee? How does one come to the conclusion, hey, I think I'm going to call the Niners and see if Jordan Mason is available for a 2026 6th and some insignificant cash swap or pick swap that'll take place this year? You can recognize we have money. Yes, we do. Do you have money? How about you?
Right.
They don't have cash. And now it's a National Football League thing that the 49ers, with the players they're going to lose, are going to have comp picks en masse. So they're looking to, those are compensatory picks, 2026. So they're looking to bolster, and they're looking to fortify, and they're looking to swarm the draft this year and swarm the draft next year. And those guys do good work in the draft. So I understand, the things through which they're going. Fred Warner gets a lot of money. They don't know what to do with Brock Purdy. They put a team-friendly deal in front of him. Brock's people are like, nah. So Purdy's going to get a Purdy deal. So they're sitting on some fat things financially. We understand that. I just don't know how one identifies a quality, and we ain't talking all-pro here, but a quality, serviceable, bruising running back who's smart and knows where the bones are buried on blitzes. Ask Ivan Pace from a game against the Vikings last year where he came flying in untouched, and Mason, I mean, with all due respect to IP, just buried him and stood him up and just knocked him down. I just don't know how one identifies somebody like that's available. I mean, we've seen Masterclass mentioned many times on social media in line with the Minnesota Vikings and the work they've done this offseason. So Masterclass, I guess, would be one way to look at it. But the intuitive nature of an individual to recognize somebody is struggling financially. I mean, this sounds like a little opportunist, so don't cancel us. Somebody's struggling financially. They may be reeling just a little bit, so let's take advantage of them and make a call about Jordan Mason. Absolutely. It had to go down that way.
Yeah, and you call your buddies, right? I mean, we saw, Kwesi working with, he's no longer there, but Trent Baalke in Jacksonville, and the relationships that he built during his time in Cleveland, but knowing how the Niners operate and those sorts of things, you're going to call your buddies, and you are going to pay attention to the fact that they love that rookie. I think it's Isaac Guarendo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yep, second-year guy, might be San Jose State, catches it and runs pretty nicely. Cheaper than Mason, and cheap matters to the Niners. Nice ball.
But it's also, it's interesting, they going into a contract year, part of that conversation in trading for Mason. So there's an opportunity there. I don't know if the Niners... I think he's only been in since 2022, something like that. He was undrafted. Jordan Mason was, Georgia Tech maybe. And so I don't think you had to pay him into this season. So I'm curious how that conversation went. It's good to try your buddies first before you branch out.
Yeah.
And knowing that, and that's a risk, by the way. I mean, think about all the running backs. We've looked at the Breidas and the Mosterts. That was years ago. And now more recently, Elijah Mitchell couldn't stay healthy behind a guy that recently in McCaffrey can't stay healthy. Maybe their marquee keep of the free agent season thus far has been bringing Juszczyk back on a 2-year deal.
Right.
They are absolutely struggling. Strike while the iron's hot. You mentioned all those picks. They got 11 in this draft right now, 11 total picks. They're probably going to max out on the comp picks at 4 for 2026 as well. So they're going to have another double-digit pick load into 2026. Maybe the window's closed and they're going to roll with Purdy. Interested to see how those numbers work. But they are in dire freaking straits. And Kwesi, put that big smile on. If Mason handles business, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to afford him anyway. Oh, and I can't tell you how good that Isaac cat is. What a draft pick you guys picked up in Isaac. Might be steal of the draft.
I know things didn't go Isaac's way during the game you played here, but wow, we were all watching him during the pregame. I mean, I think it was KO who said to me, holy cow, where'd this guy come from? He's like a cross between Warwick Dunn and Roger Craig. Wow, nice job, guys.
So since he's en route for a Canton bid, you know what? We'll do this. Here's the deal. I just flipped Ed Ingram for a late 6 next year. Let's just make this easy. I'll give you that pick. You give me Jordan Mason. How about that? We turned Ed Ingram.
Yeah.
And best of luck to Ed, of course, in his career. Into Jordan Mason. That's a massive Kwesi W. That's sweet.
Master class.
Free agency never fails on the Kwesi train.
Welcome aboard, Jordan Mason.
Free agency never fails on the Kwesi train.
Isn't it great having money for the free agency bonanza? I mean, it's so different and lively and stimulating and compelling, and you don't have to get a list of positional players available at free agency. Okay, offensive linemen, so to speak. All right, well, let's look at how much we have. Ooh, okay, that ain't cool. So you go ahead and cross off the first 9 names.
Right.
And then you start working at number 10 and working a deal with him. And it's fantastic, man.
Well, just look at 2025 and how it's played out with the Bubba Boldens, and all jokes aside, he'll have a chance to find his way onto a practice squad, right, with the Vikings, and they see something in him. But the first 2 things you had heard about when the tampering period opened up was Isaiah Rodgers and Bubba Bolden. For a lot of years, PA, that's our free agency.
Yeah.
And then one way or another, we grab, we do bring an Ed Ingram back because we want to will that into year 3 or 4, and that needs to work. And if it works, everything's going to be great. We had to do that. This time, with all this cash, and I was jealous of kids when I go to the mall with my buddies and I have to check payphone slots and candy machines for a straight dime or a quarter, just so I could get a taco from Taco John's. Mm-hmm. Quasey doesn't have to do that now.
The Taco John's in St. Peter dead, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
That's
wow. You know what?
I haven't been down that way in a long time.
I shouldn't.
Too long.
I shouldn't have held back on this for quite some time. Yeah, I had a speaking engagement a couple of weeks ago in a town called Fairmont. So to get to Fairmont,
proud of Southern Minnesota.
There we go. Yours truly drove through St. Peter. And there's the ancillary Jake's Pizza.
Yep.
Okay, so you got the Jakes of all Jakes ever to Jake's.
That's down in Mankato.
That's in Mankato. Yeah, we're going to have a little 4-minute, maybe a 4-hour break here between the first and the second practice, and I think we can go meet Johnny B at Jake's, but don't tell anybody that Johnny B was there because he owns Johnny B.
Oh, my gosh.
So the ancillary, the 1A, the Jake's 1A, St. Peter.
Yeah.
Taco John's next to it. Closed.
Oh my gosh!
Blew me away.
Above average at that.
That's a classic training camp stop right there. What is that? 99 with the old bridge where Whiskey River used to be.
Whiskey River.
I loved. Yeah, Taco John's. But back in the day, yeah, struggling for finding coins in couch cushions and coin slots of pay phones. The general manager doesn't have to do that anymore. It's a beautiful thing.
And if the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, perchance, were like getting squared away right now in the media relations portion of the equation at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, that would be on the 3rd floor. So say he's in the office of old Spearfish Sammy. Spearfish has been known to listen to 9 to Noon on occasion, and say like Quasey walked in and 9 to Noon was playing, and they want to talk about setting up the virtual press conferences this week with all the newbies and stuff like that. And before Spearfish could turn down the radio, the general manager hears 9 to Noon, and the producer say, "Well, Bubba Bolden, that's a practice squad guy, right?" And he's like, "Did he just say that Bubba Bolden's on the practice squad?"
Free agency never fails on the Quasey train.
I mean, how dare I?
Free agency never fails on the Quasey train.
I hope to be proven wrong. When I read that thing come through, I'm like, did we sign Buda Baker? Oh, no, Bubba Bolden. Okay, all right.
He's never played a game in the National Football League.
Well, he's got a shot now in purple, baby.
Well, I mean, was he or was he not identified in the first wave of free agency?
In fact, it was a priority. I think they worked him out before free agency even began.
You think they didn't?
Welcome to the team, Bubba.
Big cash, big splash this year too. Big cash, big splash last year elevated the whole thing to high end. That can't be disputed. We're not talking about Palm and Pawn over there cheering on everything that is purple and gold. That's fact. Had big cash last year, made a big splash last year, elevated the team to a certain extent to a 14 victory operation until things went kaput at Ford Field and then kaput in Glendale, Arizona against the LA Rams. But nevertheless, at this time last year, we knew it was big cash, but we didn't know it was big splash. So now we know it's big splash, we know it's big cash. We're hoping it's big splash, and the certain, to a certain extent, needs for the Minnesota Vikings have been satisfied. A couple of beef eaters on the offensive line and 2 more on the defensive line for now. And it sure is great having millions of greenbacks March of any year. And that has nothing to do with the impending taxes for all of us. Hey!
Free agency never fails on the Quasey train.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, y'all.
Free agency never fails on the Quasey train.
Mucho moolah, dead money be damned. Let's make some bets on some players. Oh, yeah, kind of off what you were talking about the nickels and dimes between the cash cushions, or, you're trying to get a taco from a closed Taco John's, and you're looking in phone booths trying to find nickels, dimes, and quarters that had been left behind. Here, I can put that into context for you. So like mucho moolah, dead money be damned, let's make some bets on some players.
Okay.
That could be you can have unfinished business. You can have whatever motivational line, sentence, or proverb or phrase that somebody has uttered during the course of time. You can have that all over Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, in the elevator, stuff like that. For me, right when people walk in, I'd have it say, mucho moolah, dead money be damned. Let's make some bets on some players. Jeff Okuda, the cornerback formerly of Ohio State, and the Lions over there now going, hey, mucho moolah, you say. I like mucho moolah.
I love mucho moolah.
To wit, free agency into the 2021 season looked a little something like this. All right, into 2021. Patrick Peterson, cornerback. Jesse Davis, guard. Zadarius Smith, outside linebacker. Nate Hairston, cornerback. Ty Smith, cornerback. Sean Mannion, quarterback. The final three are re-signed. Maybe Ty Smith, too. Sean Mannion, Jordan Berry, punter, and Austin Schlottman, guard.
Oh, Schlottman.
All right, so that was into the 2021.
Yeah.
Into 2020, it was defensive tackle Michael Pierce, wide receiver Tajay Sharp, defensive end Anthony Zettel, and a linebacker named DeMarquise Gates. DeMarquise Gates. That was free agency into 2020.
Yeah.
Into 2019, it was guard Josh Klein from Tennessee.
Okay.
That's it. 2019, that's it. Other than re-signing a bunch of Dan Baileys and Anthony Harrises, and both were quite the accomplished football players. But when we say they were forever in search of nickels and dimes between the couch cushions, that's what we mean.
Wow.
I mean, think of those names, and then, even like last year, Aaron Jones, wow, hey.
So you said 2019 we brought in. That's what's interesting about Josh Klein.
Yeah.
So, but this was also in an age where in Kwesi's tenure, we've seen what he thinks or he looks at the capital of draft equity, right? The picks themselves and how he's used them to kind of navigate, whether it's up and down in the draft, moving up for Dallas Turner, or in some ways moving them for players in free agency. You only bring in Josh Klein in 2019, but in these Spielman days, this was the height of the late round picks for Spielman. As you get Bradbury, Irv Smith Jr., Madison, first 3 rounds, Drew Samia, Cam Smith, the linebacker out of USC. I think he had knee injuries.
Yeah.
That was 5th round. But then from the 6th round on, 7 guys, Armin Watts, Marcus Epps, Oli Udoh, Chris Boyd, Dylan Mitchell, the Oregon Duck, I think, wide receiver. Olabisi. Remember Olabisi? Go Rams.
Yes.
Colorado State's fine. Well, now you're down on Colorado State. But Austin Cutting, the Air Force kid. So look at the flip-flop now, where in 2019 you got Josh Klein, and then with all respect to these players, you threw darts on Saturday. You threw a ton of darts on a Saturday trying to make this thing right.
And some hit bullseyes.
Armon Watts had moments.
3-2. None hit bullseyes. But you got a triple and or double 20 a couple of times, all right?
Well, and Marcus Epps had some meaningful moments for the Eagles. I think he just signed another deal with his 3rd or 4th team. So, I mean, he's still in the league.
No doubt.
But all the same, and Chris Boyd shoving coordinators and stuff, so there's that.
Yeah.
But you went from throwing a ton of darts on Saturday, minimal free agent action, nickels and dimes and couch cushions, to now 4 or 5 draft picks, but a laundry list, as you mentioned, of new faces in the mix. And this time it isn't the, Tajay Sharps of the world per se. It is the Will Fries, highly coveted guard. It is Ryan Kelly, equity. It is some of these players that have the name recognition and the statistical background to work with it. So we've seen really a flip in the last 5 years in terms of how this spring works out.
And when there's a flip like that, what needs to go into the metaphorical flipping of the proverbial switch? What do you have to have?
Mucha moolah.
Free agency never fails on a Kwesi train.
Man, we got so much money, it's unbelievable right now. We're just giving it away at the facility, right? Right? Okay. Now, in closing, the 24th overall pick in the draft. So the NFL draft is a month and change away. And when the Con and I got together on Friday, and we put together that makeshift starting lineup following the Kwesi train, just running roughshod and rolling over humanity, as we did it, podcast at KFAN.com. It began the final hour, if you're looking for it. And that was Friday. And we would low key mix in how we think this impacts the upcoming draft with the picks the Vikings have, specifically the 24th overall pick in the draft. With the running back class is crazily deep, according to all the right people like Jordan Reed and Corey Chavis.
Yeah.
But now, when you got Showtime into Jordan Mason, we've had a shift in the morning line here. The running back situation went from second choice at like 3.5 to 1 in the business we call it 7 to 2. Well, now it's up to like 5, 6, 7 to 1. It's like the fourth choice in my estimation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking offensive line or defensive tackle or offensive line, maybe a side dish of cornerback. Ooh. And that's pretty much how I establish it. Running back somewhere in the draft. Yeah, that'd be cool. But now, not at 24 now, right?
Well, I think that changes things at 24. I still say, again, going back to whether it was 2020 with the wide receiver draft, tight end draft recently as good as it was, that if it is that deep and if it is that plentiful and there is that much buzz around it, you probably should get one. So are you going to get it at 24 or 97, as I was thinking about on Friday, pre-Mason?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
But on Saturday, I think you got to dive into this running back market and find one of these guys. And similarly, with the way that they've handled the O-line in free agency or the way that they added these beefeaters in Allen and Hargrave to the defensive front, that does not mitigate the need or the idea, again, of making good better, making better best, making best high-end elite. Keep stacking bodies in that mix, stacking talent, and that's going to win out. So whether it's a guard at 24, it's a D lineman, I don't think the game plan has changed. Corner still feels like that's running later in the pack than these other positions.
Yes, sir.
I'm still not down on the idea of safety. They'll likely go those other routes we're talking about. But
no, I like that take. And a safety at that spot for this team. I mean, it's an outside of the box bit. And I thought about it a little bit this weekend, after you said it, because that's off my radar. But if there is one that you absolutely love,
yeah,
and you're like, well, I mean, we have no chance of getting something like this if we don't make that move right now, then A, something like that could happen. But B, let's not forget how important safeties are to the way Brian Flores presents defense. I like that take a lot. Yours truly has a friend in law enforcement in St. Paul. We're going to close this segment and mention this a couple more times per his request because old TF is one of my better friends. And he informs me that we should be sharing with the masses right now that if you're going to the Wild game tonight, road closures affecting traffic are going to be negative. So fans should allow for extra time if attending the Wild Kings game tonight. West 7th will be closed between Walnut and Kellogg from noon until 1 a.m. Holy cow. So if you're going to look for the Wild to get off the metaphorical schneid, do know West 7th closed between Walnut and Kellogg from noon until 1 a.m. That's your Fan Traveler's Forecast, otherwise known as the traffic report that takes place from the hinterlands, and Shakopee is pronounced Shakopee, but this is actually going to be incredibly accurate. So keep that in mind, Wild fans, if you're looking to Sky Yuma tonight at XL Energy Center. When 9 to noon continues, as part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list, the Timberwolves get center stage. They've won 8 in a row. I mean, it's 8 in a row, 4 Finch O. 8 in a row, 4 Finch O. Yeah, Chris Finch, congratulations. Covenant claps, too. 200 victories in his burgeoning head coaching career with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But the fly in the ointment is the Dubs just won't lose.
No, they won't.
Your Golden State Warriors won't lose. So we're going to mix that in and then get back into some football. Man, that was a lot of free agency talk right there. And, oh, yeah, that other thing that's hovering. Yeah, right. Keep on getting them clicks, boys and girls. Finish line is approaching. Thank you, TimberTech. Thank you, TimberTech.com. You're listening to the 9 to noon presentation on FM 100.3 KFAN. Welcome back, 9:37. This is 9 to noon. It's the Love Covenant. I'm gonna need a howl from you here if you have it in you.
Hey, can I give you a howl in a second? But I just got past a clipping penalty. I got to play this highlight from Horton last night.
Okay.
And just feeling the vibes of Anthony Edwards just exploding.
Stops at the three-point line, feeds it to Nance. Against Collier, he likes the matchup, banging away mid-post. Here comes a double, now a triple up top, and he'll take off down the lane. He'll throw it down with the right hands.
Yeah.
Elevate and detonate at the rim on Walker Kessler.
Whew.
I heard that live last night.
And I'm ready for the howl now. Sorry.
And I was I forgot to text Alan about that cool line, elevate and detonate. But yes, all right, 3-2. The Minnesota Timberwolves dismantled the overmatched Utah Jazz last night. That highlight courtesy of Alan Horton and the Minnesota Timberwolves radio network. Superstats Dave by his side. All hail the Howl. Hear us when we tell you this. All hail the Howl. Winners of 8 in a row. I couldn't find a boo bit fast enough because I was chatting too, within the covenant. So I think we can boo on our own.
Okay.
All deny the Dubs. Boo! Boo, Steph, you're old. Boo! Draymond, sit down, man. All deny the Dubs. Boo! Nobody likes you. Hey! Hey!
Jonathan Kuminga this.
Mother! But the Dubs, the Golden State Warriors, have been victorious 7 in a row.
Great.
And the team is 14-1 with Jimmy the Bulldog. 14-1 since making a move on, the enigmatic malcontent that just ruins every single team.
I always love that one.
The one that rolled into a Timberwolves training camp practice and eyeballed Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and said, I'll take the 4 worst guys in this gym, and none of them are going to be on this team next season, and we're going to beat you in a 5-on-5 game. That's good. And he did. So they're 14-1 with the Bulldog. We chase, and we chase, and we chase, and we win, and they win, and we chase, and it's getting late in a hurry, okay? All hail the Howl! Percentage points behind these streaking Warriors for the 6th seed. Records look the same, but we're like 2 percentage points behind or something.
Yeah, 2 1,000ths, I think.
We're 2 1,000ths behind the Golden State Warriors, the less than beloved Dubs. But the key here is you're jousting for the 6th seed.
Man.
All right? And play-in avoidance. Play-in avoidance. What does that mean? State of hockey? Everybody else? Play-in avoidance. In the association, the play-in tournament involves 4 teams who play into the postseason while the top 6 rest and get healthy. Right now, the Western Conference seeds 7 to 10 in this play-in clip are the Timberwolves, the Clippers, Sacramento, and Dallas. Phoenix is at the heels of the messed up Mavs, but lost yesterday to a slumping Lakers team. Nobody wants to be in the play-in. No, none of the cool kids want to be part of the play-in. Extra games, more fatigue. Sour feelings in the air. That was a Frankie Beverly and Mays song. Sour feelings in the air. Nobody wants to be in the play-in. It goes like this. I mean, the play-in. The play-in is an absolute James Naismith-related, basketball-related clipping penalty that potentially costs you some rest time and some chill time. Goes a little something like this. 7 plays 8 with home court. 8 gets home court V10. Loser of the 9-10. Dead. Winner gets the loser of the 7-8. Winner of that one houses the 8 spot. Winner of the 7-8 automatically is the 7 seed.
Can you repeat the part of this stuff where you said all about the things?
No. So if the Wolves are the 7, and beat the Clips, they'd hook either the Rockets, Nuggets, or Grizzlies, all tied for the 2nd seed right now. Pretty cool. Any way we can find our way to get that team from the Mile Get High City in round number 1? That would be super duper peachy. Why? Because they can't beat us.
Can you repeat the part of this stuff where you said all about the things?
Can I ask you about this? Because we should be focused on the Dubs. It is Jimmy. They can't lose and all of that. I get that. But you're 3.5 games from staring the Rockets, Nugs, and Grizz in the face. Grizzlies without Jaren Jackson Jr. for a period of time. He is back now?
He came back this weekend.
The muddy nature of the West as it is right now, we've seen how beatable we are against this Nugget, or beatable the Nuggets are when we face them. So finding those matchups, if we get into 6,
they can't beat us.
And the Rockets got hot again after a lull. But you can't tell me with authority that you absolutely, and the Lakers have a right to struggle here until LeBron comes back.
Right.
You can't say that you vehemently trust any of those teams to put pedal on metal and cruise their way to solidify the 2nd or 3rd spot. It's all so wide open right now.
You know who has become
keep winning.
You know who has become quite trustworthy? All hail the Howl. Got Indiana at the spot tonight. That's a tricky one. That's a 7:00 game, and they're going to look to make it 9 in a row for Rudy Go. 9 in a row for Rudy Go. The Dubs also are in action this evening, and I believe they take on the Miami Heat. They're on the road. Steph Curry's questionable in that game. Hopefully, baby Steph does not play.
They have the Nugs tonight.
They got the Nugs.
They have the Nugs at home. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Golden State at home against Jokic. Steph Curry questionable. Hoping baby Steph doesn't play, even though I love him, because we are looking for play-in avoidance.
Can Murray shoot better than he did against the Howl?
Well, you know what?
Oh, my goodness. Was he awful the other day?
Being in Colorado over the weekend, the Nuggets games were prominently displayed at all the places I was attending, and Jamal Murray took what looked to be a significant injury in a loss to Washington.
Really?
Well, that's what Finch does. I mean, that's what the Howl does. I mean, the Howl beat you so badly that all of a sudden on the weekend, you're thinking you're going to get a bounce back against a bad Wizards team.
Corey Kispert, though.
And not only do you lose the game, you might have lost Jamal Murray. That's hailing the Howl. 9 to noon continues after this. The Atlanta Falcons picked up a $10 million Kirk Cousins guarantee.
Oh, my God. Kirko, chill.
So what does that mean? The other quarterbacks on the Atlanta Falcons roster include potential luminary Michael Penix and already established luminary, there's really no doubt about this, Emory Jones.
Faith and goal.
A former quarterback at the University of Cincinnati who has never thrown a ball or played a snap in the National Football League. So the Atlanta Falcons picked up they're going to pick up a $10 million Kirk Cousins guarantee.
Well, I think that is automatically triggered, PA, just because they haven't cut him yet.
Right.
So it wasn't like it was a conscious choice, but like we're going to take this 10 in 2026. I think just by nature of keeping him on the roster, that not only are they, and they're still on the hook, of course, for 2025, but that 10 next year, and with offsets, by the way, if he goes somewhere else, I believe that could be offset. But the 10 million, it's on the docket. They still got Kirk.
Yeah. So Russell Wilson left the New York Giants sans a deal, and this one may be percolating within the local football covenant. Cooper Rush signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Has anybody in the Twin Cities market ever cared this much about Cooper Rush? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was at about 11:15 one Sunday night when he came in here as a big underdog and whooped on the Minnesota Vikings.
That was a tough Halloween.
Yeah, the fans, they there were a lot of Cowboys fans there, but the majority of Vikings fans were not cooing that night.
No.
They indeed were booing. It was not Cooper, it was boo, because that was a negative game. Cooper Rush with the Baltimore Ravens. So Rodgers, Wilson, and Flacco are on the chill. I have a question for the masses. Why doesn't, I just wonder why Aaron Rodgers doesn't want the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New York Giants. I mean, it's understandable why somebody wouldn't want to finish an HOF career with a team like the Giants, but the Steelers piece is that's a little perplexing to me. If the belief is Aaron Rodgers will not be here, and that is the belief 9 to noon and has been so, whether into a microphone or on the social media channel, my only one, the X machine, and that has been the belief for about a week. That Minnesota indeed is his preferred option. How much is his heart truly in those other spots? You see, that's personally speaking, and this is not your finger wagging covenant, because we're not the breaking news leader, 9 to noon, or really anybody here at KFAN. That's just not what we do. But that's where my mind would go. That's where my mindset would head is, okay, well, I mean, it seems like all the right people are saying that he's not going to be here with the Minnesota Vikings, despite what a fair amount of the Nationals want you to keep believing. But then why hasn't he landed at a spot? And perhaps that's a fair question. The New York Giants make 0 sense. The Steelers and A-Rod. The Steelers have a strong-willed head coach. They play their games outdoors. And the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks had problems at the end of the year last year. Perhaps he envisions dysfunction within the Steelers' covenant. Ain't no dysfunction here. It's mostly clear Pittsburgh's no longer into Russell Wilson. That's mostly clear. The steam is, as I shared last week, the Steelers preferred Justin Fields, but for whatever the reason, he opted to go to the New York Jets. And that's not exactly a bastion of current football excellence. So radio silence up in this bad boy right now. But there can be a little bit of unpacking to be done. It's regarding the Minnesota Vikings or maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. But from a Viking standpoint, either the team is divided on what to do, or he knows the answer is no, and is in no hurry to call the Roonies. Why would he be? I mean, I'm betting it's the latter, and that should come with no surprise. Some people just don't dig and can't handle hearing no, especially when they've dictated tempo and terms all of their lives. Some people just don't dig hearing no. Minnesota is at Pittsburgh next season, by the way. Ooh, juicy. By the way, this continues to be nothing like 2009, for those who want to go down that road. 2009 was mega hot with the prospects of getting Brett. I mean, it was hot for a week and a half. And I wasn't on Twitter at that stage, but vividly remember a majority of Vikings fans genuinely pumped in hope for join the covenant. The other options at that time were Sage Rosenfels and Tavares Jackson. The other option now,
He's JJ.
well, that's a talented, young, likable quarterback. Emphasis on the words young and likable. The other option here happens to be a talented, young, likable quarterback named J.J. McCarthy, who was drafted to be the future of the franchise. If you want your plays changed at the line of scrimmage, put off the future. If you want eye rolls when somebody runs the wrong route, well, then the future ain't now. Wonder why young JJ thinks about all this. As the future starting quarterback of the franchise, I mean, he absolutely has the right to get answers to rumors, and honestly, they probably met with him days ago. And by the way, all of this stupid conversation is Daniel Jones' fault. The whole thing. I mean, that's LOL radio, but you have to believe over at the old TCOPC machine, they probably thought they were a cinch for it to be McCarthy, Jones, McCarthy into the offseason. Jones probably chose Indy because he senses a better chance to start. Why does he sense a better chance to start there? Because the future has arrived here. Given the way things ended in New York and McCarthy favored to start here, perhaps Dimes became concerned. He'd be, I don't know, considered by others now as nothing but a backup. Maybe that lack of self-awareness actually permeated his football-loving soul. Maybe there was a handshake, like we'll provide like a lush pasture for the talented beast to turn out and frolic sands of pressure in the world. Maybe that was part of a handshake agreement. Like you get said lush pasture, money, little pressure, and a sweet facility under the assumption you're part of the covenant in 2025. Maybe that was the handshake. So here we are, wondering if anybody has a working cell phone number for Joe Flacco. Cooper Rush is off the list. Or maybe Carson Wentz, who I adore and would love to have here. And while some continue to twist in the per source wind, others keep searching their name on every social media source known to mankind, just to see what the football world is saying about me.